Hello and welcome to another fake LGR thing. Last video I took a look at a nice beige box from Packard Bell with an Intel 486 processor and a very nice hard drive. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the other maybe 486 system that I picked up, and I have reason to believe it's a little older. I'll talk about that in a second. So it still has... Jeez. Is there a disk in there or something? No. Oh, does it not let me... Okay, it won't let me close it unless there's a disk. So it still has a 5 1/4 and 3 1/2 floppy drive. And we have lights for turbo and power and for hard disk or floppy drive, probably. Or maybe that's just H/disk to abbreviate hard disk, and yeah, because I've never seen discrete light for floppy drive activity. They're always on the floppy drive. We have a turbo and reset button. No power button, but a lovely switch there, and that probably goes all the way back to the power supply. It says do not turn off, so this is probably run 24/7, which actually means it has a higher likelihood of working versus a machine that was just kept in storage, because like the PRAM battery and all the capacitors had voltage run through them. I did take the screws off the side because I only have like 30 minutes to make this video because I have very short breaks from work. But here the system is. I have not opened it up yet, so I'm seeing it for the first time, like on the inside when I do. Anyway, I've got some kind of port here. It looks like a parallel port inside out. Some sort of input port. It might be the same as that ISA card that we pulled out of the Packard Bell system. This is a slightly taller case, and it has more expansion slots. Here's a VGA graphics card and a serial and parallel controller card. Lots of knockout plugs for serial or VGA and parallel. Now this down here this is why I think the system is older. That is an AT style keyboard connector. That's not PS2. It's different. And I'm pretty sure I saw an AT keyboard when I was picking this machine up. So hopefully when I go back to the recycling center, it's still going to be there. I'm not sure it was AT, like the plug, but it was very old and yellowed and kind of matched the system. It was on top of it. So I assume, thinking back retrospectively, that keyboard was for this system. So I'm going to need to run back and grab that. Anyway, without any further ado, it's time for the insidening. i486SX. And it looks like we do have a hard disk. That is a Seagate. Is that the same one as the other one? ST3144A. No, it's not the exact same. This is the same ISA card as the other. That's interesting. We've got 6 16-bit ISA slots. I think that socket there is for a math coprocessor. An i486SX, as it says there. So actually these two machines are about the same age. Yeah, this floppy drive is a dusty mess. I think this is like a standard IBM compatible power supply. Like, I swear I've seen that in some LGR videos actually on the LGR channel, not just me trying to sound like him. It's got the little red switch and everything. So yeah, the power switch actually does move a physical hardware switch on the power supply, which is just awesome. Here, let me back this up so you can see. So, oh! So this parallel port, oh crap, that's dusty. It comes off of a card. That's cool. Who makes this motherboard? Because on the front, all it says is MicroFlex, and I've never heard of them. But then again, there were a lot of PC clone manufacturers who just left their name on cases. This could have been made by like Samsung, or a lot of companies made them and just sold them unbranded. Ooh, what is this? That's like... Is that just an ISA slot? That's just an ISA slot, I think, but different than the rest. Again, I'm sorry, these era of machines is not really my expertise. Alright, so let's liberate this Seagate drive first, because I love old hard drives. And even if the rest of the system doesn't work, but the hard drive does, it's just an IDE drive, so it should be useful in anything with IDE. And then unscrewing all this metal should give us a better look at the board. Wow, that is tight. Oh, so there's a, it's not a hard card, because the hard drive is not on the card. And I guess it's just a hard drive controller card. A hard drive and floppy. I wonder if that came with the machine or if that was added later. Because it doesn't look like there would be hard drive and floppy on the motherboard. Oh, this must have come with the machine, because why else would the Molex power connector be hot glued to the drive? So this system probably has never been opened in its life. That was the worst way to take this out. Okay. I'm gonna need to take out our controller card too. And then I'm gonna need to vacuum my goddamn floor because this is making such a royal mess. The card is glued into the ISA slot. Here, let me... Actually, I'm not gonna unplug that because I'm not gonna be able to find where that goes. Look at this. There's hot glue on the end of the ISA slot. You can't see that. Let me zoom in. There you go. Look, it's hot glue. And there was some on the edge of the card as well. There's the remainder of it. So yeah, this was hot glued into the slot. And then back here we can see that's either cache or RAM. And I know from last video to never assume which is which. We have our AMI BIOS. And, oh, now we can get the hard drive out. We'll take a look at what you are. What are you? Ooh, a similar but probably older controller board. So probably smaller drive. And it's a... doesn't say on the hard drive. Oh, damn. You can't see that. They also hot glued in the ATA cable. It's your standard IDE drive with a very big resistor. I love these old controller boards. They're gorgeous. But let me look up this drive here. I heard a good joke a couple days ago about Seagate drives. They have a huge quality control department. It's their consumers. Because the drives don't work anymore, Seagate, you literally invented the hard drive and you can't make them right. It is a 130 megabyte drive. It spins at 3200 RPM, and I bet it sounds absolutely freaking glorious. I'm gonna blow this system out, remove the PRAM battery, check for bad caps, and then power it up. Because I bet there's an operating system, probably like a DOS version, maybe even like Windows 3.1 on the hard drive. Now, I'm seeing something over here that might be the memory. It's a bunch of socketed chips in a row, and that's either RAM or like cache. So this board does have memory, unlike the other one where I wrongfully assumed that it didn't. I'm sorry you couldn't see a bit of that. But let me move it over here so we can see the AT power connectors actually don't plug straight into the board. They go into these adapters which are zip tied closed, and then they go into the board down there. So I'm assuming from what we've seen, like the hot glue and zip ties and the unknown brand, that this was a small OEM that was you know, building these computers, I bet this is an off-the-shelf board. The turbo button is locking, so it doesn't just control something in software. It actually locks down. And there's an actual lock on the front here too. As I said earlier, I'm going to try and unplug as few of these as possible, because, I mean, look at this mess. The chance of me putting it back in correctly would be so low. Oh hey, this has a Gold Star chip on it. And Gold Star, this card, Gold Star was LG before they were LG. Let me check out this VGA accelerator. I think I already said this, but this ISA card in this slot is the same one, the same mystery card that's in the other system. If anyone can tell me what these are, that would be appreciated. I'm gonna speak to the IT team and see if anyone knows what these were used for, because I can't find anything online after a little bit of searching. Maybe I need to do a lot bit of searching. Oh, what the hell does that say? What does this say? They got too cool with the font, and it's illegible. IWL VGA Adapter 2, as it's called. Hey, sorry for the mess. It says down here, Vertex 002 VO. So I'm gonna find out what all these cards are, clean it up a bit, and then we'll plug it in and test. And we're back. Sorry if I sound a little out of breath. I just blew this thing out with my own lungs because I don't have canned air on hand. But, you know, I blew all the huge chunks of dust off the motherboard, and it's looking really clean. Now, I do take advice to not clean things too thoroughly that have been in storage for a while. So, like, I'm not going over it with a brush yet. An anti-static brush, because I could knock some components loose, that kind of thing. So generally, blow the huge chunks of dust out, but don't worry about a little layer of dust on components, because that could actually be holding things together. Anyway, let's get this powered on, because I'm pretty interested to see what it will do. Now, I noticed it does have a Varda battery, and any Amiga enthusiasts will know, if you're an Amiga guy, you immediately cringed at that, and you're probably, you know, on the floor crying right now, because, you know, those have a tendency to explode or leak, and I would like neither of those to happen in this computer. So my first priority, after I test this, is removing that battery. Now, look what I picked up. A lovely yellowed AT keyboard. I think it's AT. Does it go in the hole? Yes, it goes in the hole. Oh wow, that does not stick out straight. That is interesting. But yes, this is an AT keyboard, I suppose. Oh no, where's the Windows key? It feels absolutely fantastic. It is made by... Actually, I don't know. It's an RT6251T. That's the model number. But it doesn't have a manufacturer anywhere on it. It's in pretty bad shape. It's dusty, it's messy, it's gross, it's yellowed. But it feels absolutely fantastic to type on, and I'm very glad that I picked this up, not just because it's my only AT keyboard. Alright, rambling aside, let's get it plugged up. Okay, I'm about to plug it in. First, I want to say though, know what you're doing if you're plugging in an old computer. I've checked the power supply. It doesn't look like there are any bad caps inside. But even if it, doesn't look like, there still could be. Now, as far as I know, these machines slash power supplies are not super prone to catching fire. Like, it's not a super known issue. Like, not every 486 machine is guaranteed to catch fire if you plug it in, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. So, just be careful. And with that said, now that I've thoroughly terrified myself, what the hell? That's funny. I thought, personally, I would think the little lightning bolt on the power switch would be on, but no, that's off. That's funny. So there's a loud fan somewhere. It's probably in the power supply. And she works. Now, we're not getting any video out. Again, it could be a genuine issue, or it could just be like my monitor not syncing. So again, I'm gonna check that out in a second. All right, flipping her on in 3, 2, 1. So we're just getting the first and third LEDs, I believe. Make sure it's drained. Yep, it is. I think that was plus 3.3 volts and plus 12 volts. Didn't see any plus 5 or minus 12. So it could be an issue with like traces. Okay, good. It's unplugged. I'm gonna start pulling ISA cards that we don't like strictly need. And floppy controller. Sure, I'll take it out too. And then I'll just put just this card in so we can actually see it. And that'll also remove extra variables that might be causing issues. It could very well be that this power supply is just like dead. I'll check the power supply connections because it appears we are only getting plus 3.3 and plus 12 volt to the ISA slots, which is not good. But I am so glad that it at least somewhat works. Because... I feel like that was the multimeter. I thought that I thought that was a row of tantalum capacitors just exploding. Oh my god. That scared the shit out of me. Oh, I would have cried. Alright, let's hope this doesn't explode. Let's go, boys.
Let's go, boys. Explosion time, baby. Because we all know we want it to explode.
Damn it, all that and it still don't work. I thought it was a dead power supply, but no. Alright, so a few updates on this board. So last night I clipped out the Varda battery, and it doesn't appear as if it's exploded yet. So I'm very glad that I avoided that catastrophe before it happened. It was hot glued in, so I really had to tear up the battery. I couldn't just clip the leads, so I was very scared it was going to explode. But if you grip it by like one of the ribbed sections, it won't split in half. And it's actually a lot of small like watch battery looking cells in there. So if you just grab it by the actual cell and pull it out, it'll be fine. Or you could use isopropyl alcohol to dissolve the hot glue. I think that's safe. Also, some folks on Vogon's forums helped me identify this motherboard, which was very nice. Now I have a bit more of a clue where to go from here. This is not a very common board, and it doesn't have any manufacturer markings on it from what I can tell. Just the chipset is marked. It uses a Unichip U4800, which, you know, people confirmed, which is strange. That's a 386 chipset. The BIOS is a 386 BIOS. It's got a 486 socket on it, though. It's a bit of a weird board. Anyway, some users confirmed that this is, in fact, a Sidus, S-I-D-U-S. It's a Sidus 386/486 C64L-SID. So thank you to those people who helped me identify this board. Again, that'll give me a clue on where to go from here. Manuals, documentation of the chipset, the BIOS. Maybe I can find even like some basic schematics, because this is a pretty simple board. It's a baby AT board, so you're not really gonna fit too much on it. Yes, that's in fact what it's called, baby AT. Also, I want to address, it's not the power supply that is the issue. I plugged in the power supply from the Packard Bell system that's working, but I plugged in the power supply from the Packard Bell and nothing happened. It still didn't work. I was still only getting 3.3 and -12 on the ISA slots. So it's either a hard short or an open circuit, and I bet it is these little blue capacitors. Or maybe these like capacitor or resistor banks. It could be those. Because again, this is a pretty simple board. Now I also want to address something else. It is, I noticed, I think it's been like this for a while, because I recall seeing this wire when I opened it up and not knowing where it went. It goes to, I think one of the, this is 5 volts maybe? Of, which one is it? It's one of these weird, like janky adapters. Yes, it goes here. So that's snapped off of there. I don't think that is the reason for failure. That probably happened much after this machine actually had the failure that knocked it out. But that is something that I do need to fix, and it doesn't plug into the board without these extenders because the actual PSU wires are really, really short. Which, again, that makes me think this PSU not really made for this machine. And I just want to say again how amateur this whole thing feels. Like, definitely assembled by a small company. I don't think it was like an end user that put it together. I don't think it was like a student of the school. I think it was a small company that put it together. Because, like, there's hot glue on the floppy connector, on the ISA slots, on the Varda battery. I mean, everything is just glued. These were zip-tied together. So, it's very unprofessional feeling. Anyway, I'm going to see what else I can do to get this work. I will start testing the capacitors down in the ISA slot and work from there. Now, the good news is, I could almost call this board a backplane because of how basic it is. I can't really call it a backplane. It's got, you know, it's got CPU, RAM chips, and that sort of stuff on it. It's not just the ISA slots, but I mean, I've soldered radio kits that are more complex than like the stuff in this area. So luckily, it shouldn't be too astronomically hard to fix, and even if it does surpass my abilities, I won't scrap it. I'll sell it on or give it away to someone who knows what to do. Now, that being said, my leading theory is still these little blue capacitors. So what I'm going to do is test them. I believe if I just test their resistance, I should be able to figure at least something out. So if the resistance is really high or too low, then I'll kind of get an indication that there is an issue. The other one was around, I think it was like 22. So that one's like 23. This one's like more. Now, it might just be charging the other caps around it, because there are multiple of these on a trace. Actually, there aren't. So let me just actually inspect these traces real quick. Now, isoslots share the same traces if you know where to look. So basically you can just drag them down there. So we saw that worked. What if I do okay, so in the area with the capacitors, there does not seem to be any issue. Alright, so I've been checking those pins for a good 15 minutes, and it doesn't appear like there's anything wrong in that regard. I'm not sure how to test the individual chips, but I'm beginning to think that is more of the issue. So I'll kind of try and figure out where to go from here. Like, it could be a dead RAM chip, but the thing with the voltages is, like, a RAM chip wouldn't cause no 5 volt to go into the board. I tested near the power pins, and there is 5 volts coming in. I plugged in a power supply, and tested, and there is 5 volts from the PSU, but I don't want to poke around near the isoslots while it's powered up, because I don't know the pinout, and I don't want to damage this board more. And I don't really have an accurate oscilloscope, so I won't be able to, you know, test any clock signals that these chips may or may not be generating. So honestly, from here, I'm not sure where I should go. I'll keep thinking over it for a few days. Okay, honestly, as much as I hate to do this, I'm going to leave this video kind of open-ended, unsolved, if you will, because I've been messing with this thing for several hours now. It's been, you know, 4 or 5 hours playing around with it, trying to find drivers, or just any details. The hard drive has yielded nothing interesting that'll be like a clue into finding out what everything is here, or why it doesn't turn on, of course. So I'm going to keep working on it, and if I do find a solution, I'll either, you know, edit the footage into this video if I still have time, or if it's interesting enough, it'll be its own new video. But that is going to wrap it up for today. Thank you everyone for watching. I've got some more weird computers coming up pretty soon, believe it or not. But yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you everyone for watching. Do consider subscribing if you enjoyed, and see you next time.